Akash with us here. I'm going to just give you a little bit of information about him. Although many of you may be familiar with who he is the founder of Happy World Foundation, Inc. It's an international nonprofit organization that promotes global citizenship education in schools and communities worldwide. In 2018, Patel, a Spanish and mathematics teacher at Dallas ISD, was selected. Oops, you can hear somebody there. There we go. Was selected as a top 50 finalist from over 30,000 teachers for the Global Teacher Prize, a $1 million award that is granted annually to one teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to the profession. In 2020, he was elected to the National Council of the United Nations Association of the United States of America to serve the 2020 to 2024 term. He was also appointed as the chair of Global Engagement of the Global Engagement Summit, the largest gathering of American grassroots changemakers and global activists in the General Assembly Hall of the United Nations, and the chair of the UNA USA Educators Affinity Group that helps educators from across the United Nations champion the Sustainable Development Goals in their classrooms. In 2021, he was inducted into the International Literacy Association's 30 Literacy Leaders Under 30 list. Wow, this is just, the list goes on of all the amazing things this man has done. He was elected as the first polyglot immigrant president of the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, ACFL, and was granted an Einstein Green Card by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. In 2022, he was featured in Time's Innovative Educator of the Year as the Innovative Educator of the Year and elected vice chairman of the National Council at the UNA USA. And he is also the recipient of several national and international honors for his work with anti-bias global education. He speaks 6 languages, oh my gosh, I wish, and has traveled to over 50 countries. And he's also, his foundation, the World Happy World Foundation, is featured in one of our material programs. We have created a compilation of pedagogical essays called Honing Our Craft, and one of the chapters features his work and his foundation, Happy World Foundation. So if you are interested in learning more, we will put a link in the chat so you can check out Honing Our Craft. So Akash, take it away.
Well, Aisha, thank you so much. And I want your help, Aisha, with this activity that we're going to get us all kicked. We're going to kick this event off today with this activity. And I see that Leon is already here. Leon, if you don't mind, bonjour, Leon. If you can turn your camera on. And hi, Leon. Yeah, are you? Can you unmute yourself and just say hello to everybody? We're just going to take 10 minutes, okay?
Hi. Do you hear me?
So Leon, you do speak English too, correct?
Yes, I speak English.
Or just French?
Yeah, I can.
A little bit. Okay,
I can speak French too.
No, you're going to speak in English. Don't worry, okay? So Aisha, for this activity, what I want your teachers to do, we have Leon with us, and I'm right now in a different country with one of our volunteers at his house using the internet in that country. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play mystery hangout. So all teachers are gonna pretend they're in my English as a second language classroom, okay? And Aisha, you too are one of my students.
Okay.
And what we're gonna do, you guys are in a Title I school. You don't have money to travel, like maybe the same privilege that Akash has to travel. So what you're gonna do, you guys are gonna come up with questions to solve the mystery of where Akash is from, where Leon is from, and where my friend Diozdani, whose house I'm at, is from. You have to ask questions. As a good teacher, I'll model this activity. You would ask questions like, hey, are you north or south of the equator? What are the colors of your flag? What type of food do they eat in your country? Please do not ask questions like, hey, Leon, are you from Antarctica? Are you from India? Are you from Guatemala? No, don't do that. I want you to ask questions about their types of government, their food, questions that's going to elicit responses about the country, their culture, and their diversity. So let's go ahead and give the teacher 60 seconds to throw some of the questions in the chat. Aisha, what comes to your mind when you think of a mystery hangout? What is a question you could ask Akash or Leon to solve the mystery of where they're from?
Are we allowed to ask what language they speak in that country?
Exactly. Yes, you can. And we are going to tell you the languages that are spoken in the country where I was born. We have 22 official languages, over 160 languages, and 20,000 dialects.
Oh my goodness.
¿En tu país qué idiomas hablan? Español, solo el español, ¿cierto? Solamente el español. Okay, so only Spanish. Siéntate acá, si puedes saludarles a ellos. That's Dios Dani. I'm at Dios Dani's house, and in his country they only speak Spanish. Leon, what languages do they speak in your country?
Well, in my country, we speak French.
French,
And a lot
okay.
of
So Aisha, we have some other questions in the chat. Can you throw some questions out to us?
Yeah, we've
we're
got
not
some
guessing
really,
yet.
really great questions in here. What currency do they use in your country, for example?
Currency, la moneda. No le dice el nombre del país. La moneda que usan. La moneda que usamos. Peso. Pesos? So they use pesos in his country. The country where I was born, we use rupees. Leon, what's the currency they use in your country?
my country, we use franc CFA.
France CFA. Good question.
CFA.
Other questions that you see, I should keep throwing them at us, like maybe 5, 6
Yeah.
questions.
So we've got, what's the most famous tourist location? That's a fun one. What type of government do you have?
I like the what type of government. Let's do that. My
Okay.
government, the country where I was born, not the country where I live right now, or the country that I have the dual nationality from, is a democracy. It's the world's largest democracy. ¿Tu país es una democracia o un país comunista, socialista? Socialist country. Diosdani, I'm at his house with his family. It's a socialist country or a communist country. Leon?
We are also a democracy country.
Democracy?
The democracy. It is. You have a president, right, Leon? Or do you have a dictator? President.
Got it.
Yeah, we have a
Let's see.
Aisha, colors of the flag. We're not guessing yet, teachers. Remember that you're going to not put your global citizen hats, because a lot of our students don't have the privilege that Aisha or Akash have to travel. A lot of our students haven't even been to the mall. They don't know where the mall is. So don't put your global citizen hats. Try to put yourselves in the shoes of a child who has never traveled. Okay, so let's take 3 or 4 more questions, Aisha.
We've got, what is a neighboring country? What oceans are around the country? Who's a famous singer or writer?
Okay. Yes. So Diodani says his country doesn't have any neighboring countries because it's an island. My country, yes, has neighboring countries. And one of the neighboring countries is Bangladesh. Leon, what's a country that's next to your country?
Mauritania. Mauritania.
Mauritania. Okay.
Yeah.
Aisha, another question?
The other we had, we kind of asked the one about water. We have weather. What's the weather like in the country?
¿Qué tal el clima en este momento? Right now, because the AC is on in his house, I have put on a jacket, but it is really hot. It's tropical, okay? I would take this off as soon as I step out of the house. In the country where I was born, I think it's currently the end of winter, the onset of spring. Leon, is it hot or cold in your country right now?
Actually, or for the summer, but actually it's very cold. Not too much, but it's cold.
Cold.
Okay.
Oh, it is cold.
No, not too cold.
And Not too
Cold,
cold.
but
Okay.
not
Not
too
What
cold.
cold.
continent? Not too cold, but
Like
somewhat
7,
chilly. What continent are you in, Leon? Are you in Europe, in Africa, Asia? What continent are you in?
in Africa.
África. Nosotros estamos en el continente
Yes.
Caribe, Caribbean, pero Centroamérica. Yeah, we're in Central America. And the country where I was born is in Asia. And I love one of the questions. It's so funny. Somebody said, do you use sticks of wood as toothbrushes in your country? Yes, we have a herbal stick to brush our teeth in the country where I was born, not in this country where I'm at. So I think we could take one more question. I think I saw somebody say, what are the colors of your flag? The colores de tu bandera. Red, blue, and white. And the colors of my flag where I was born are white, orange, blue, and green. Leon, what are the colors of your flag?
Our coral flag is green, yellow, and red, and a star at the middle of
And a
yellow.
star. Estrella en el centro. ¿Sabes qué país es? Habla francés. Él dijo red, yellow, amarillo, green, verde, y una estrella adentro. Es un país que habla el francés. Okay, so Aisha, we can ask people to start guessing. Maybe they can start with Akash. Where's Akash from?
All right, we have some
In
guesses.
my country is the Taj Mahal. Come on, guys. Uma Shankar is probably from the same country too. Uma, you got that right. Yes, everybody got that right. I'm certainly from India and Indian American. What about Diosdani? Diosdani is right here next to me. And Diosdani, can you show them like the clothes you're blanca, right? You're wearing white clothes. This is the religion of Yoruba. And the people that follow the religion of Yoruba, they wear white dresses, white outfits, and I love that a lot of people. And look at he's showing some of the bracelets that they wear. And did somebody say Jamaica? No, it's a communist country. It's an island. I love it. A lot of people are getting it right. Cuba. He is in Cuba, and I'm in Cuba right now. Can you imagine? I've got great 4G high-speed internet to be able to talk to you guys here. So it's a beautiful day, and hopefully by the end of the session today, I can walk you around and show you what it looks like in the nighttime here, because that's what our volunteers do and will do for you guys at no cost. Leon, where is Leon from? If it's a French-speaking country, Francefa is the currency, football or soccer is a great sport, and it's 11 o'clock in the night right now, 11:15 p.m. Yes, somebody's saying Senegal, Senegal. Leon, are you from Senegal?
Yes, I'm from Senegal, West Africa.
Awesome. Yes, Mr. Leon, that's right. So I know, Leon, it's late in the night for you. So, Aisha, if you could just take a screenshot and, I want to make sure I give a shout out to Leon. And we're going to take a quick picture so we can remember this and we can say thank you. So guys, please show your love to Leon and Diosdani, because these are two of our 2,000 volunteers from over 150 countries that video call classrooms like yours at no cost. So Leon, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night, Leon. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you,
Merci
Leon.
beaucoup. All right, Aisha. So what did you think of that activity, Aisha? Like, if you were a language educator, I know you speak, I've heard you speak Spanish. What value would something like this add to your classroom?
Well, I think it would add tremendous value. I did teach Spanish for over 10 years, so I think this would have been something that would have been really fun, engaging, would spark my students' curiosity, get them really interested about someone from another culture and what their life is like.
Right, terrific. Thank you so much, Clet, once again for having me. I sincerely apologize for the internet connection in Cuba. So for folks who joined me last week, I was in Cuba and we did a mystery hangout where you guys got to talk to some of our volunteers from Cuba and from Senegal. So you experienced what we do on a daily basis through our nonprofit. We provide teachers from across the United States the opportunities to connect with native speakers of different languages from over 150 countries at no cost. So you guys can reach out to us and request a speaker, a Spanish speaking, French speaking, German speaking speaker, and we will connect you with a volunteer so you can bring language to life. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about our journey at the Happy World Foundation. So I came to this country as an immigrant with my twin brother. As you can see in this picture, that's my twin Happy. Happy and I were 18 years old, almost about, I think now 12 or 13 years ago when we came to the States. And the stereotype for Indian men is that you can either be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor, or quite frankly, a disgrace to the family. So, we chose to be the disgrace to the family. We came here on a full ride scholarship to study nuclear engineering. And then we decided, I don't know if nuclear engineering is for us. So we gave that up so that we could, just buy a car on Craigslist and run away from Iowa and make it to Oklahoma where we had an uncle. We were almost disowned by our family. Our family thought, what a disgrace. What are you guys going to do with your lives? You gave up scholarships for a lucrative career in nuclear engineering, and what are you guys going to do? So we enrolled in a community college. We worked multiple part-time jobs so we could pay for our education at the community college. And then we got a bachelor's degrees, myself in education and my twin brother in business. So while I was getting those degrees, I was introduced to people from Oklahoma. And for a guy from India, if you have read anything at all about Oklahoma, you would think, when you go to Oklahoma, maybe from the airplane window, you can see cowboys and teepees. To my surprise, I didn't see any. And then when I started talking to folks, Oklahomans, at diners or restaurants, and they would be like, oh, gosh, you're from India. I bet you can see elephants in the streets in India. And I would often joke with them, yeah, you sure can. Depends on how much you've been drinking. So that brings me to stereotypes. We all have stereotypes. As you can see in this picture, I went into those rodeos in Oklahoma and my students gave me their parents' cowboy boots and cowboy hat. And because I'm dark skinned, I put on a rosary and everybody thought I was the Mexican cowboy. But when you talk to people that are different than you, maybe don't share the same skin color or not the same religion or maybe not the same sexual orientation or whatever it may be that makes us different and unique. That's what is beautiful about diversity. We all think and believe and feel differently. That's what makes us unique, right? We speak different languages. We are different skin colors. But what is amazing that despite all these differences, we have a lot more in common. We're all humans. We all have emotions. We all bleed red and we all want great things for ourselves. Like Mahe wants to be happy and so does Akash. So when people have stereotypes, they come from somewhere. But when you talk to people who you may have stereotypes of, you can break bread with them, engage in a dialogue, and dispel stereotypes, and thus treat everyone the same. That's what you guys did in the mystery hangout that we facilitated from Cuba, where you got to meet somebody from Cuba, where you got to meet somebody from Senegal. You got to talk to them, learn more about their countries, their cultures, and their backgrounds. And that helped you dispel stereotypes about people from those countries. So that's something that's transformative and powerful. And that's something that each educator must do as a world language educator. Our job is not just to teach them to be proficient learners of the language. Our job is to inspire the global citizen solutionaries of tomorrow. They have to be able to grow up to be like, start thinking about the gaps in life. They have to start thinking about all of what's happening around the globe and be like, oh, there's a gap here. There's a gap in global education. There's a gap in climate crisis. There's a gap here. They have to be able to identify the gaps and then fill the gaps. So your job as an educator is to inspire them to use that language to help identify gaps and fill those gaps. So before I created the nonprofit, I was just a fourth grade teacher, a bilingual school. And my job was like, I was thinking about it like, hey, I'm teaching in rural Oklahoma and inner city Oklahoma City, where kids have never seen somebody as dark and brown as me. And they often stare at me. They go, who is Mr. Patel? And where is he from? So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I taught my fourth grade students about my work with elephants, my work with sea turtles, and that these students, through my experiences in storytelling, would learn more about my country, my culture, the science behind the elephants, about poaching and how to combat poaching, and about elephant poo-poo paper. Yeah, you heard that right. Elephants, we can make paper out of their poop. One elephant gives you about 200 sheets of paper per day. It doesn't stink, it doesn't smell, and it's biodegradable because elephants, unlike us humans, don't eat hamburgers and fries. They eat grass, and they eat 500 pounds of grass every day. So they poop a lot. You can wash it and change it into paper. So here's my students making elephant DNA necklaces to study poaching patterns. There's me teaching students about my work with sea turtles. And then I realized Akash can only do so much. I can only be in every classroom and teach these experiences. But what if I started inviting my friends? I started inviting Elsa, a Mahe, and they're from all around the globe. And by the time I was 22 years old, I'd already traveled to over 25 countries, made a lot of friends backpacking, and made a lot of friends from my travels with my parents. So I was like, hey, Juan, or hey, Xavier, can you come talk to my students for 20 minutes? And we're going to do a mystery hangout where my students are going to have their maps out and they're going to ask you questions to solve the mystery of where you're from. They're going to do that in English and they're going to do that in Spanish. So we were practicing our languages. We started to get to know people, and that's where we created the Global Connect database back in 2014. Today it's 2013. In 2013, we've got over 2,000 volunteers from 150 countries, and we have facilitated over 20,000 calls all across the United States. So this is one of the few calls that we led in the inaugural year in 2014 when I was a fourth grade teacher. My scholars talking to their peers, orphans in India to the left, to the right, some young college students from Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. And here's two young gentlemen from Swaziland and Lesotho, two tiny monarchies in South Africa. And many times, kids would go like, wow, you guys drink milk from camels, or you guys drink milk from water buffaloes, which is very strange for North American kids who have never seen a camel, or maybe have never seen a water buffalo, which are a lot more common in Africa and Asia. Lots of cultural differences. That's not the only reason why we facilitate these telecollaborations and virtual exchanges. We do it, one, to inspire empathy. A lot of American kids lack empathy. When they see young scholars in Bangladesh that had to work for $1 for the entire morning in a sweatshop and then walk for 3 miles to make it to school so that they could talk to their American peers, it inspires empathy in our American kids. It helps American kids put themselves in the shoes of kids in other parts of the globe that don't have the same privilege as them, and then realize that they live in a great country and that they could use all the privilege and resources and everything they've got in North America to help kids in other parts of the globe. And just the desire to help somebody, I think, is transformative. Because as a new teacher, you always struggle with classroom management. They're like, oh my goodness, these kids, they're giving me a hard time. But if you inspire empathy in them, they will start appreciating you. They'll start appreciating the resources they've got at the school, and they'll start being more grateful and more inquisitive and more curious about lives. So that's one reason. The other reason we do these video calls is so that we can help children fight bigotry and prejudice. When young kids are taught to appreciate the differences of others and to see that we as humans are one human race and that we have a lot more common than we are different, it is going to inspire the John Lennons of tomorrow. And it is not going to inspire the hate mongers and the ones that go around bombing places or ones that go around shooting people simply because they don't like the way they dress or the way they the color of their skin, or for any reason that they feel that they are different and you feel like we're going to hit them and kill them and go on a war with them. So young scholars, you have the ability as educators to transform their minds, to inspire the peacemakers of tomorrow, because the work that you do in your world language classroom is a game changer in conflict resolution and peace studies. So that was my reason why I created this. Lastly, I wanted to do it so that my kids could see beyond the four walls of their classroom. Many of our scholars have not shared the same privilege that Mahe and Akash or anybody watching this webinar tonight have had the privilege to travel, but many of our scholars have not been to the local mall. They've not been to another city in the state. So when they see that, wow, through these video calls, we're traveling to Alaska, we're going to Bhutan, we're going to Antarctica. Someday, these very same scholars, like this young man right here to the right, Michael, he's like, when I grow up, I want to go to Alaska and I want to go see the Iditarod, the race of sled dogs. So we want our kids to be inspired to see beyond the four walls, and we want them to see that there's a life that exists outside of this school community. And that's what is the other reason why we created the Global Connect program. This picture, some of my scholars are engaging with an actor from the Nepalese film industry. My fourth grade bilingual school scholars talking to fourth graders in New Zealand. Here's my scholars doing a Skype conference with entrepreneurs from Liberia and Brazil about Zika and about Ebola. Bilingual authors like Mariana Llanos from Peru reading books in 2 languages to my scholars, or the CEO of Community Recycling, a large recycling company in the United States that recycles stuff in America and sends it to 50 different countries. So Bella, my scholar, she was so sharp. She was like, Mr. CEO, you're amazing and you're cool. But I study at a Title I school and my parents don't have much money. What can I do to help your initiative? And the CEO said, hey, Bella, I'm going to send you a box with shipping paid for. And I want you to throw in your gently used shoes and clothes. And we sent it back. And a month later, the guy Skypes us and he's like, hey, Bella, and Skype. So you can imagine, we're talking about 2014 when we created the nonprofit. So because Skype doesn't exist anymore, we talk about Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Meet. So the CEO goes, hey, Bella, look at your shoes. Or hey, Alexis, look at your shirt. It's going to refugee kids in Syria and South Sudan. So for the first time, kids at a Title I school had realized that you don't have to be rich to make a difference in someone's life, and that we can all make a difference, and that we can all leave this planet a better place than where we found it. These were the kids from Kiribati Islands, atolls in the Pacific Ocean south of Hawaii that are going underwater because of global climate change. My scholars didn't understand their language because they spoke a language they couldn't speak English, so we had to use an interpreter. And the first thing my fourth graders wanted to know, what do you kids do for recess out there? They said, hey guys, look, we're just right across from the ocean. We just go jump in the water, and that's what we do. But they said very soon, some of our elders are saying that our school is going to go underwater and we're going to be relocated hundreds of thousands of miles away to the island nation of Fiji that doesn't share our culture, doesn't share our customs, doesn't share the way of our lives. And it sounds like we're going to have to move. So the next morning, one of my scholars, Julius, drew a picture of his bed, and the reflection said, Mr. Patel, I don't have much for those climate refugees we met, but if one of them was to come to Oklahoma City, I think I could share my bed with them. So that to me was empathy in action. So that's where I want to talk to you a little bit about action civics, that these video calls don't just inspire empathy and global citizenship and cross-cultural understanding and intercultural competence. These video calls, they truly here are inspiring solutionaries, students who are finding solutions to world's greatest problems. That's the ultimate goal of our language education, that they're able to use the language to fill gaps in life. Here's another volunteer from Bhutan, the only country on earth that doesn't just measure GDP or gross domestic product, they also measure GDH or gross domestic happiness of their citizens. It is the last country on earth to introduce television. Oh boy, they made a big mistake, because as soon as they brought the television in, they saw a spike in crime in the nation. So they did not have a TV for so long, and they were the last nation on earth to introduce TV. And the king of Bhutan introduced the World Happiness Day at the United Nations. It's a very happy country, very clean country, and that inspired us to create pilot projects. I said, my classroom is going places around the globe. What if I shared the same gift with my colleagues down in my school or down the street in a couple other schools in the city? So we started piloting the project, called it Exploring Languages with Oklahoma City Public Schools, Oklahoma City Community College, and the Dallas Independent School District. And as soon as we started piloting, teachers loved our ideas, loved our idea of connecting people, and boom, then we started taking people all around the globe. Teachers from Oklahoma, from Texas, and then slowly with me being invited at different conferences, teachers from all 50 states today use our 2,000 volunteers. During COVID, when folks were isolated, teachers reached out to us asking us if we could host field trips. And to the left, you can see a lady taking us on a tour of Villa de Leyva, a town with mucha artesanía and arts and crafts from Colombia. I think it's north of Bogota. To the right is a firefighter from the local fire station. So we came up with innovative field trip ideas. And again, all of this is available to educators at no cost. Because the moment I start charging for something like this for my nonprofit, it defeats the whole purpose of access. if I charge, only the schools with money will be able to video call and engaging in all these cool activities. But if I don't, then the schools that need it the most will have access to these quality global experiences and enriching authentic immersion opportunities without leaving their classroom. So these are examples of just some of our scholars in the United States forging relationships with their peers in the UK, in India, where a group of students gave a farewell to my kids in the United States. And they said, hey guys, we just wanted to wish you the best of luck with your exams. Or that's my Spanish 3 scholars with peers in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, and some of more of my Spanish 3 and Spanish 2 and global studies classroom talking to their peers in Jordan, in Palestine, in Spain, or this is a group of scholars from Medellin, Colombia, with their peers in Dallas, Texas. That led us to create another in-person program. I just spoke about the virtual program, guys. It's available to any teacher anywhere around the globe at zero cost. This second program is something I hope you can inspire and create yourselves in your states, because we do not offer this to states outside of Texas and Oklahoma. We have existing partnerships with local universities in the 2 states where we bring in their international students on sponsored buses to local elementary, middle, and high schools. And this is an in-person program. We can't afford to send folks to Massachusetts or to New York or California. So that's why we do it virtually. So you guys can still access the volunteers virtually. But this is a neat program that led to the creation of another program at the nonprofit called School to College Pipeline Initiative. That's my twin brother, Happy, some of our friends from Brazil, Afghanistan, the folks, these international students from local universities, they bring in their food, their culture, their traditions, their clothes. They dance with the kids, they play with the kids teach them some of our culture and games and dances and culture. So that's where I want to pause a little bit and talk about DEI. Today, with all of the culture wars we've got and folks fighting to the left and the right, I think language education is a true unifier. It brings people together. Language, that's the whole idea. Language once would define the borders of people's nations. Today, language is so powerful, it can bring people close together. It can unite us all and it can end division. And that's what should be the purpose, that we diversify and we include every voice, including those people that we disagree with. And DEI doesn't necessarily mean that we all have to think the same. That's the whole beauty of this program of Global Connect. When you meet people from all around the globe, you realize people have different perspectives, people have different viewpoints, and people have different ways of thinking. And that we must respect them all, because if not, if we have intolerance, that could lead to hate crimes, that could lead to wars, that could lead to genocide, that could lead to civil war. And that's why we have to inspire this culture of tolerance and intercultural competence and cross-cultural understanding in our classroom. That in-person program led to the creation of School to College Pipeline Initiative, saw a significant drop in high school dropout rates in the schools that participated in the program, because we didn't just provide international students, we paired the international students with at-risk youth to mentor them to take them to college. Another program at the nonprofit's called the Global Ambassadors Leadership Institute. It's now open to people of any age group who want to become a global ambassador. And we connect you with US diplomats. We connect you with folks from the US State Department. And this is a scholarship-based program. You can find the application on our website at happyworldfoundation.us. Professional development is something that I'm leading with you guys right now, and something that I led with you guys from Cuba last week, where I train teachers on how to use some of our tele-collaboration and virtual resources to inspire global citizenship in their communities. And thanks to that work, over 10,000 educators in the United States have now been able to access our resources, and almost 30,000 last year that I spoke in a stadium in Argentina that got to experience and access some of the resources we have to offer at the Happy World Foundation. It's not just training where I talk to you guys. In 1 or 2 weeks after the training, teachers send me pictures. They're like, Akash, look, in the first picture on the top left, we're talking to twins from Zaragoza. Or to the right, we have a teacher from Missouri who's connecting with one of our teachers in Argentina. Or to the bottom left, a French classroom in Virginia talking to one of our native French speakers from Cameroon. So the whole idea is we inspire what you guys witnessed mystery hangout in your classrooms. And when I get pictures like this, especially the one on the bottom right with this smiling student who's so happy to meet a native speaker around her age, maybe a few years older than her, and that sign that says in Spanish, todos somos uno. That's the beauty of this activity, that we're all one. And that oneness is what we need to continue to seek for in our world language classroom. Many times that inspires my students' grandmothers and parents and sisters and cousins and aunts to be like, hey, I love what you're doing in the classroom. I want to volunteer. Can I teach your students English? Can I talk to some students from Turkey or from Argentina? And here we've got parents and teachers now volunteering 20 minutes of their time to open the world to people in some other part of the globe. Thanks to all that work, we've received widespread recognition, national, international, both my twin brother and I, for the work that we do, and received thousands of dollars in grants and scholarships that we have given back to the community. I want to leave you guys with the story of how I learned Spanish. I'm a polyglot. I speak 6 languages. Spanish was the 5th language that came to me, and currently I'm studying Portuguese. So almost proficient in Portuguese as well. But Spanish was the language that came to me while I was a backpacker in college. My college degree is to teach high school mathematics and a master's degree in educational leadership and policy studies. So when I got my bachelor's degree, and I was a sophomore, I think I was a senior in college, folks, for spring break wanted to go party it up. And I was like, I told my twin brother, I don't know if I want to live that kind of life. I don't know if I want to go to Miami or I want to go to South Padre Islands. And when it was summertime, I was like, I want to go make a difference in the lives of people. And I want an internship. So during Christmas break of 2011, this is almost 12 years ago, when I don't even know, I was 21 years old or 20 years old. So I told my Hispanic friends in Oklahoma, I want to get an internship in Central America or in South America. And my friends laughed at me. They said, Akash, you don't speak a lick of Spanish. How are you going to get that job? So I said, you know what? I'm going to use Google Translate. I used Google Translate, typed up a letter, and sent it to 50 random people on Facebook that looked like they were professionals from the Dominican Republic. Because back then, LinkedIn wasn't popular and other social media. I was like, let me try Facebook. Nobody responded except for one person, the chief of staff of the First Lady of the Dominican Republic. This guy sends me a message. He's like, Mr. Patel, the message that you sent on direct message in Facebook is grammatically incorrect. And I laughed back and I put ja, 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 which is ha, 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 ha. Of course, in Spanish, I said, ha, of course, it's incorrect because I use Google Translate. What do you expect? The guy says, here's my WhatsApp number. Give me a call. He was bilingual. He spoke to me and he's like, I love your energy. I'm going to give you an internship. I'm going to give you $200 of a stipend, a hotel room, and an interpreter. I want you to go around our country and teach our young kids about your experiences working with elephants, sea turtles, and your Indian culture, and come connect the East with the West. And I was like, wow, that sounds like an exciting opportunity, working for the children's projects of the First Lady of the Dominican Republic. In 2011, I never met the First Lady because the office was huge. Can you imagine? But the last day I was in the country, the kids I worked with, they threw me a farewell at the National Music Conservatory in Santo Domingo. And they danced merengue with me, and it was telecast live on the First Lady's TV program. When I came back home to the United States, I felt so much in love with the Hispanic culture, with their way of life, la alegría, the happiness of the people, that I was like, I want to learn this language. I started backpacking every summer, winter, spring break, all the way from Mexico down to Panama. And I picked up Spanish. As soon as I got my degree, I got certified to become a high school math teacher. And then I thought, I'm going to take the Spanish exam and see if I can pass it. And I passed it and became a Spanish teacher. So after teaching 4th grade, a bilingual classroom for 1 year, I moved to Dallas, Texas. And I became a full-time Spanish teacher, teaching middle school Spanish for high school credit. And my first year of teaching Spanish in Dallas Independent School District, out of 30,000 teachers, they picked me as one of the top 50 teachers and shortlisted me as a finalist for $1 million teacher prize. And they flew me to Dubai with folks like Trevor Noah and Hugh Jackman and Priyanka Chopra, the wife of Nick Jonas. And I'm in the middle of this Oscars for teachers at the Palm Jumeirah, one of the most expensive hotels on the Palm Islands in Dubai. And there's all these cool people. But I was most interested in 2 Secret Service agents. They were Afro-Caribbean, speaking with an Afro-Caribbean accent, and they were like, ¿Cómo tú estás? ¿Qué lo que mi mano? Now, in Spanish, you don't say ¿Cómo tú estás? You say ¿Cómo estás?, which is how are you? But this kind of Spanish, ¿Cómo tú estás?, is only spoken in the Caribbean. So I knew these two men were from the Dominican Republic. So I looked at them, started talking to them, and they couldn't believe that an Indian guy could speak Spanish. And they asked me, how did you learn Spanish? I said, I learned my Spanish in your country. I used to work for Doctora Margarita Cedeño de Fernandez, the former First Lady of the Dominican Republic. They were so shocked when they heard that. They said, you know what, Akash, we can't believe that, because she's in Dubai right now, and she's no longer the First Lady, but she's now the Vice President of the Dominican Republic. The next morning, in front of 5,000 people, she gives me a hug. She tells all the people in Dubai that Akash, when he came to my country, he didn't speak a word of Spanish. And now he teaches Spanish to vulnerable communities. And the last sentence she wrote in her Instagram and Twitter posts was like, Akash es un orgullo del mundo que se formó en nuestro país. Akash is a pride of the world that was formed in my country. I didn't win the $1 million, but meeting her was winning $1 million. And April 2018, when I came back from Dubai, something really tragic happened to my life. My only twin brother, my sibling, 26-year-old Anand Happy Patel, died in a plane crash. This was 4 weeks after I was a finalist for $1 million in Dubai. So when that happened, my life changed forever. And I just couldn't come to terms with what I would do next. I sat down with my friends and I said, what can we do to honor my brother's memory? We took my brother's Happy glasses. He would wear glasses and pop the lenses out of them. We put them on a globe, and we took his name because his name was Happy, and we called it the Happy World Foundation. And we said, through this foundation, we're going to give teachers across the country the opportunities to travel around the globe without ever leaving their classrooms. And that's where the foundation, Happy World, was born. While I was gone for my brother's funeral, students at my school fundraised $1,500 to give to my family for the funeral. The students are from a turnaround Title I school in Dallas. I was like, there's no way I'm going to take this money. So I go back to school, give the money back, and the kids, instead of taking the money back to their families, the Monday after that weekend, they had invested the $1,500 to pack hundreds of Happy Meals for the homeless in the cafeteria and the library. So I was moved to tears that these kids would have so much generosity and be so giving, because sometimes you realize in life that the poor are the most generous that you will ever meet. And they asked me to go with them to downtown Dallas and distribute those meals to the homeless. So here I'm in Dallas, in the picture to the left, distributing the same Happy Meals that my students dedicated. And ever since, we've donated over 20,000 Happy Meals with the generosity of my students to homeless people across the region. I also created the Happy Nonprofit Clinic. If any of you tuning in know anybody who wants to create a nonprofit, doesn't have money to pay an attorney, we can provide you pro bono help, helping you create nonprofit organizations at no cost. The process usually can cost $300 in filing paperwork and up to $5,000 to $6,000 with an attorney. So since my brother's death, through the Happy Nonprofit Clinic, we have helped over 53 organizations across the country file for exempt status with IRS. And all this work caught the attention of presidents on both sides of the aisle, from President Bush, Bush Sr., President Obama, President Clinton, and just recently I received a Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joe Biden. So this is President Juan Manuel Santos of Colombia, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, who invited me to Dubai once again to talk with him about how the work that we are leading is promoting peace and cross-cultural understanding in schools and communities around the globe. So that was quite a distinct honor for me. That's the president for the first ever female president of Costa Rica, Laura Chinchilla, to the left, and to the right, my dear friend, sister Rosemary, a CNN hero who works with former child soldiers. And if you can see, some of her child soldiers use pop tabs from soda cans, and they make these amazing purses and other items from pop tabs. So very cool story. You should look her up, sister Rosemary, and her amazing, inspiring book called Sowing Hope. She truly sows hope in those kids whose lives have been torn apart. That's my only Hispanic professor in college, who was selected by the Republican governor of Oklahoma as the Multicultural Citizen of the Year, and I was honored as the Multicultural Teacher of the Year. So it was truly an honor for us to receive that in our first year of teaching, where they highlighted how a professor inspired her student to create a nonprofit that's now making a huge difference in communities around the country. To the right, you can see the Secretary of State for the state of Oklahoma. To the left, our governor for Oklahoma. We received widespread recognition from governors, both Republican and Democrat, because Republicans think the work that we do is amazing because it helped kids be grateful for the many freedoms they have in this country. And Democrats think it's great because it's helping fight bigotry, prejudice, and racism. And it's helping inspire the global citizens of tomorrow. It's a win-win situation for both of us. Thanks to the very same work, now I've received Human Rights Award, where I usually take a picture of my brother. In this case, I set him up on the floor of the House of Representatives in the state of Oklahoma. And then, of course, now I serve as the president of the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, as the vice chairman of the United Nations of the United States. And just recently, before I left the classroom, I could focus on serving as actful president and as the vice chairman of the United Nations of the United States. I was selected by the Time magazine as the 2022 Innovative Educator of the Year. So lastly, I want to leave you with some of my contact information, and maybe Mahe, we can take some questions at this point if you know the audience that's joining us today, if they have any questions for the next few minutes.
So yeah, if anyone has any question, they can write it in the Q&A feature, or if they want to talk, we can give them, the permission to talk. If you raise your hand, you want to talk to Akas, we are more than happy to allow that. So let us know.
Absolutely. Elsa, Gabby, Teresa, Uma, anything that comes to your mind. It could be about global citizenship, about global connect. It could be about ACTFL, any question you may have about language.
Yeah, we have something on the Q&A. How do we get the district to allow strangers to classroom?
Oh, that's a wonderful one. So, that's a big one, because a lot of times people are like, oh, what are these people are crazy? Let me tell you something. From 2018 through 2023, our nonprofit has facilitated over 30,000 video calls. And not once did our volunteers do anything inappropriate. Do you know who's always done something inappropriate? Not always, but most of the times, the students. The students always are the ones that will say something crazy or will do something inappropriate, but our volunteers not. See, all our volunteers are background checked through our university systems that we partner with. Most of the volunteers that we will pair you with are college students, for example, in Senegal or in Cuba or in Guatemala or in Germany. So they're background checked through the university partnerships, and you can always tell, the professors, you can always tell your principals and your superintendents if they have concerns to reach out to us. Show them some of the links where our nonprofit's been featured in the Time magazine or in other credible sources, and they can reach out to us, and I'll give them a host of references to large school districts across this country that use our Global Connect program. And above all, it's free. Once you start using a couple of our volunteers, you'll get hooked to it. So hopefully I can make that happen. If you have serious concerns about, what kind of virtual visitors are going to attend. Our nonprofit's been in business over 10 years. The name has changed in 2018 when my brother died to honor his memory. But we've never had difficulties with the school district saying, no, this is not going to be allowed. This is something that's happening very more often and frequently. There's very less regulation, and there's a lot more motivation for teachers to go innovate and bring people into the classroom. So for whoever made that question, if you have any help that you need, you can see my phone number on my work phone on this slide here. Shoot me a text message. Give me a call. I'll help you and make everything possible to make sure that you guys can create this experience for your scholars.
Okay, so the same person, Uma, has another question. Is there some documentation we can provide to them? He's saying that he will reach out to you. And do you have a few sample lesson plans to get started?
Yes, I do. So I highly recommend. See, I'm going to give you an example here. Do you remember when we did the video call with the Cuban guy and the guy from Senegal? I tell all the teachers, no matter what level they teach, whether they're teaching level 1, level 2, level 3, AP, start with the mystery hangout, because it's an icebreaker. It helps build connection. It helps build relationships. So I can give you sample lessons and sample examples of questions students can ask. But the biggest takeaway here should be, okay, I'll give you all of this. but do not hand it to your students. Let your students know that we're going to talk to a mystery person this week, and it is your job to brainstorm questions to solve the mystery of where they're from. When students take ownership of creating the questions, it's a game changer. If you just provide them a pre-made list of 50 questions, they might not even read it. They might throw it away, or they might be like, I don't know. But if you get them excited and tell them, hey, we're going to have a mystery person, and we've got to figure out where they're from, and we've got to come up with questions, the whole class takes ownership, and keep building that database of questions. So let's say this week you're studying food, next week you're studying clothing, the following week you're working on health, and you keep asking questions that relate to these different themes that you're studying throughout the year. And yes, other lesson plans I will be happy to send. Again, please make sure you text or send us an email or a direct message on Instagram, Facebook, or any other platform. And Mahe, I do see a question from Elsa.
Yep.
How can we help to make that community bigger? I love that question. Each of us have a story, Elsa. Even let's say Akash was monolingual and he only spoke English. I still have a story. And I can share my story in English or share some of the snow that I see sometimes in Texas, not right now, with kids in Africa, and they would go crazy because they're learning English. And plus I showed them some snow. I've made their days, I've made their lives. And someday they're gonna grow up and be like, I wanna go see that snow. And I wanna aspire to be in the United States. So they may aspire to become an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a carpenter, a plumber, and they will work really hard to get those resources together so they can someday go to the United States. So each of us have a story. You can make our community bigger by signing up yourself to be a volunteer. Just send us a direct message and tell us, hey, I'm Elsa, and I have planning period on Tuesdays. Usually I'm in my planning period at this time, or on Tuesdays after work, I have some free time. And on one of the Tuesdays this year, I would like to talk to a classroom from Africa, from Asia, or from Europe, and our team members will connect you with an opportunity. There are no obligations for our volunteers. Our volunteers do this out of their hearts, and that's why I call them the John Lennons of our nonprofit, because they truly do this to make this world a smaller and a better place for everyone. So Elsa, I hope you will sign up, Gabby will sign up, Uma, and everybody else tuning in tonight, that each of you can share a story. Each of you can share something compelling that can make the life of someone. And then you can expect tens and hundreds of our volunteers to return those favors for your students and your communities. And what else? Your high school students who are looking for community service hours, they can volunteer with our nonprofit under the supervision of an adult teacher for 20 minutes where they're teaching other teenagers English, or maybe Spanish or German, or I don't know, whatever language. Or maybe they're just doing a quick presentation about Chicago or about Hawaii or about Texas, and they're teaching somebody in some other part of the globe. And imagine how cool it would look for them to put it on their resume. They served as a global ambassador during high school for Happy World Foundation, where they were helping connect children with people and places around the globe virtually.
So yeah, I think that's everything for today, Akash. We are very grateful that you're here and that finally, we could make it and record this webinar. This second part of the webinar, we will put everything together in a recording and share it with all of you, for all the people that attended in last time. Yeah, thank you very much, Akash. We're very happy that you did this webinar for us. And we hope to see you in future in another webinar for us.
Absolutely, Mahe. And thank you so much once again, because I'm excited to send your team at CLET Languages all of the pictures of all the teachers that signed up for this webinar and now are connecting their classrooms with people around the globe. So I'm going to make like a vision board that says CLET on it. And then the next time we see each other, I'll be like, look, Mahe, look at all these teachers of yours. They're connecting with people from Senegal or people from India and people from Germany, because that's our goal, right?
Yeah, that's our goal. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.
See you soon.